What's going on, guys? Ghast here, giving you another guide for Fire Emblem Echoes: Shadows of Valencia. Today I'm going to give you a breakdown on all 5 villagers available in Echoes, and what their best and worst class options are. First of all though, let's talk about attack speed, and how this works different in Echoes. In Awakening and Fates, a unit's attack speed was the adjusted speed stat after calculating things like Darting Blow, or the subtractions of effective speed from Steel Swords. In previous titles, a unit's attack speed had to be at least 5 points higher than the speed stat of the unit it's fighting in order to double. However, in Echoes, attack speed just needs to be 1 point higher in order to double. That said, Echoes has weight as a characteristic for its weapons. The attack speed of a unit is subtracted by the weight of an item. For example, while Silk has a base speed of 4, the Nosferatu weighs 2, meaning her attack speed is effectively 2. This means that she will be doubled by units with an attack speed of 3. Now that we have a basic understanding of attack speed and weapon weight out of the way, let's get into the villagers. Gray. Gray's bread and butter is his 45% HP and 40% strength growth, while his worst growths are his 25 defense and luck and 0% res. To make use of his solid offensive growths, he works best as a mercenary. Also, the Dreadfighter's base 6 resistance plus 5 resistance as a class skill and passive class skill that has all oncoming magic attacks completely cures him and other Dreadfighters of his res problems. All in all, being a mercenary makes best use of his offensive capability. As a mage, however, his spells aren't good and his learn time is awful. After fire, the next spell he learns is Sagittae. While it has a might of 16 and has 1 to 3 range, it has a shaky 70% hit rate, and gives an 11 weight penalty, so his attack speed will take a beating. It's never a terrible idea to become a Cavalier, and as one he does okay, but he's just evenly matched with Clive right off the bat, and is way outclassed by Matilda. As a soldier, once he gets to promote to a Baron, he'll skyrocket in defense instantly as the Baron defense base is 18. Combined with his high strength and HP growth, he could prove to be a solid physical tank for Almsroot. The issue here is that he'll be stuck with 4 move, and could face redundancy issues with Lucas and Forsyth. Archer Gray isn't a bad choice, as he can mitigate his 25% defense growth by simply staying far from the action, while also being able to provide strong pokes to his enemies. His best class is a mercenary, and his worst class is a mage. Tobin. Tobin's best stats are his solid base speed of 6, decent 40% HP growth, amazing 50% skill growth, and 30% luck growth. He does great as a mage, as he can learn Excalibur very early at level 6, a spell with a 95% hit rate and a 20% crit chance, making it one of the best and most reliable spells in the game. Giving him Excalibur this early will not only give him easy experience from killing a lot of enemies very easily, but he will be the best villager mage to rival Luthier, another mage you get in Chapter 3 with Excalibur already learned. He does decent as an archer too, as his 50% skill growth will help him hit things more accurately with his frustratingly low hit bow. As a mercenary, he will begin to fall off as a Dreadfighter in the late game, as he only has a shaky 30% speed growth from the class modifier. He can do okay as a soldier since it mitigates his bad speed growth, but it's not making much use out of his skill. Cavalier Tobin falls in the same trap as Gray, in that Clive and Matilda are just better options. His best class is a mage, and his worst class is a soldier. Cliff has a decent HP growth and amazing speed growth, and good growths across the board. As an archer, he does good. He can accurately snipe enemies, deal significant damage to flyers, and gets a really helpful plus 15 accuracy bonus from the A support bonus with Tobin. The archer growth modifier is going to boost his skill growth to 55% while only nerfing his speed growth to 55% as well, which means he's still going to be very fast, and he's going to be even more of a sharpshooter. As a mage, while he has the largest spell pool among the villagers, it takes a long time for him to actually get momentum because he's stuck with fire and thunder until level 9. Thunder, while being 1 to 3 range, reduces his attack speed by a whopping -5, and he already has bad base speed to begin with, seriously hampering his potential to double, and will likely cause him to get doubled by almost any enemy. He does learn Excalibur, but only at level 9, which is quite a ways away. And once Luthier arrives in Chapter 3 with Excalibur already learned, Cliff could begin to fall off. As a mage, Cliff runs the risk of just not really fitting well anywhere. As a mercenary, he does pretty good. The HP, speed, and skill with decent defense will make him a solid frontline unit. He could actually make a decent soldier given his stats and an even better cavalier. While at risk of being attack screwed from a 30% growth, the base attack of a Gold Knight is 18, which bodes extremely good for Cliff if he gets screwed. He has better speed, skill, and defense growths than Clive as well, making him a pretty competitive early game Cavalier. His surprisingly high base resistance of 8 also makes him the best at defending himself against mages. His best class is a Cavalier and an Archer, while his worst class is a Mage and a Soldier. Faye has a 40% HP attack and defense growth, 30% in everything else, and of course awful res. She has a ton of utility as a cleric. Not only does she heal, but she learns Physic, a spell that even while nerfed from Gaiden has an absolutely insane range at just level 6. She'll learn Rescue at level 10, adding on to her utility. Nosferatu being her only attack isn't all that bad either. The 60% hit rate is reliable enough in the early game to get her levels without that much grinding. As a Saint, she learns Again, which is effectively just the dance skill, which is obviously useful. As a Mage, she's stuck with Fire until level 8, whereupon she learns Seraphim, a spell that deals effective damage on monsters. The issue is that it has an 80% hit chance and is 4 weight. Combined with her mediocre speed growth, she risks being destined to get doubled by everything. As a Priestess, she does use swords and can learn Freeze, but at the cost of an early Physic and Rescue warp strategies with Silk, might not be worth it depending on how you play. As a Pegasus Knight, she'll eventually get Banish, a class skill that deals effective damage against terrors, and she can end up decently bulky with good speed and res from being a Falco Knight, but her 40% defense growth gets modified down to 35%, and Claire still outclasses her in almost all aspects. It's certainly a better option than being a Cavalier, that's for sure. Her best class is a Cleric, and her worst class is a Cavalier. Atlas. Atlas has a solid 45% HP and amazing 50% strength growth, 30% skill, 25 in everything else, and 0 res. As an Archer, he can deal strong pokes, which is actually pretty useful in Celica's route as desert and swamp terrain hamper unit movement, so being able to poke at oncoming enemies will be beneficial. Also, with the Killer Bow equipped, not only will he get a plus 20 crit boost, he gets the skill Hunter's Volley, which gives him an automatic double attack. This could help mitigate his speed issue. And of course, he can deal significant damage to gargoyles. Leon is the only other Archer in Celica's route, but their stat distribution is distinct enough so as not to be redundant. As a mercenary, he can double some monsters, but will have trouble against human enemies as they have higher speed. His speed and skill boost from the mercenary line helps. He also needs to compete against Saber, Conway, Jesse, and Dean if you recruit him. Atlas can find somewhat of a niche as a Cavalier since there aren't any Cavaliers in Celica's route in Chapter 3. While skill will still be a problem for him, he does get the move buff, and he can fight terrors decently. As a Soldier, he'll be competing with Volbar, and will have a hard time keeping up with the rest of the team because of his low stats and 4 move. But he could end up being a solid physical tank if you're dedicated to him. As a Mage, he does mediocre. He's stuck with Fire until level 8, whereupon he learns Sagittae. But afterwards, combined with an equipable shield and very high health, he can turn into somewhat of a nuke. His attack speed is completely wrecked from Sagittae and the weight penalties from shields, but it's an option at least. That said, he does learn Rescue at level 4 as a Sage, so he does have some utility to him in that way. Still though, Mei, Bowie, and Celica are probably easier to work with. His best class is an Archer, but his worst class is a Mage. Well guys, thanks for watching and I hope you guys learned something helpful. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and a comment, and please subscribe for more Fire Emblem Echoes content and tips. Catch you guys next time. Deuces.